Queria dar boa noite primeiro. Quem viu os avisos, pedir desculpa, porque não vai ter coffee, infelizmente. Mas a gente vai falando ao longo dos dias, assim, eu queria começar rápido porque ele está esperando a gente para a videoconferência. Então, dúvidas, essas coisas de processo seletivo, guarda que mais para frente a gente vai ter várias aulas sobre isso. Então, eu vou passar para o Lucas, que ele queria falar um pouquinho antes de começar a videoconferência.
Então, boa noite para todo mundo. Em primeiro lugar, sejam muito bem-vindos. O Afonso, esse ano que está tocando o programa, então tudo que vocês vão receber, tudo que está programado, quem está trabalhando pra caramba é ele e esse cara que está na gravação, que é o Hugo. Então tudo é ele, vocês vão ver que esse programa é um programa feito de gente. Que hoje vocês estão aplicando, daqui a um tempo a gente espera selecionar vocês para que vocês estejam aqui fazendo o que a gente está fazendo por vocês. Então é isso, então vocês estão aqui, é o 4º curso, Pesquisando em Boston, sejam muito bem-vindos, mas daqui a um tempo no 5º e no 6º a gente quer ver vocês aqui. Quem estiver lá em Boston vai ter que voltar a dar palestra, vai ter que voltar e fazer as coisas. Vamos ver que esse programa foi feito pelos caras da faculdade, então são vocês aí que fazem o curso e cada ano vai melhorando. Então tudo que está melhorando, o Afonso, o Hugo, estão vendo várias coisas para melhorar esse ano, então é tudo crédito deles, tá? Meu nome é Lucas, eu sou USP-Harvard de 2011, fiquei no laboratório do John Brain, que é o Joseph Brain, que é um laboratório dos vários que ainda está no programa, que está pesquisando lá. É uma experiência fenomenal, vocês vão ver ao longo do programa. Eu só queria deixar bem claro para vocês assim, qual que é o intuito desse programa. O intuito desse programa é oferecer oportunidade para gente boa. A gente quer atrair os caras que querem boas oportunidades. É isso que a gente quer. A gente quer que esse seja programa, desde o começo, que existe um intercâmbio, já faz mais de... Esse programa vai ter 10 anos, agora esse ano, o Afonso vai comentar tudo. Que foi o primeiro estudante, o professor Paulo Saldiva foi para Boston, professor de patologia da faculdade, foi professor titular aqui da faculdade, ele foi, e logo depois já levou para outros alunos da faculdade, criando oportunidade, que foi crescendo, hoje em dia são 10 pelo menos que são mandados, todo ano. Então assim, é um negócio que foi crescendo graças ao professor Paulo Saldiva e a um cara de lá de Boston que chama Godleski, que é o que vai falar com a gente agora. A conversa vai ser em inglês. Fiquem super à vontade, quem quiser falar em português aí, fazer alguma pergunta, a gente traduz, conversa, mas assim, preferencialmente em inglês, a gente vai abrir depois para vocês conversarem um pouquinho, e aí fiquem à vontade. Mas eu queria deixar bem claro isso logo desde o começo, que tem um monte de coisa aqui na faculdade que é tudo meio estranha, sabe? O cara é amiguinho do outro, e dele vem e traz pra liga. Vem um cara que é amiguinho do polo aquático, o cara é do DC, chama o cara que é do DC, o cara que é do CAOC chama o cara que é do CAOC, o cara que é da liga não sei o que lá, chama o cara que é da liga amiguinho pra colocar dentro do curso, colocar dentro da liga. A gente acha que não é assim que você traz para as principais pessoas e as melhores pessoas. Então esse curso aqui, vocês vão ver que os caras, nosso processo de seleção é para atrair de um jeito com mérito quem é bom. E a gente tem os nossos critérios e no final quem faz toda a seleção são os professores. Então o que a gente quer deixar bem claro é isso. Então se você tem dúvida, essas conferências vão ficar todas na internet, vocês vão ter tudo acesso facilmente. Então é tudo para ter bastante transparência e para que vocês tenham todas essas informações, para que quem realmente esteja afim, quem realmente seja afim de pesquisar e fazer coisa diferente, esteja aqui com a gente e seja o USP-Harvard 2016, tá? Então já estão aí? Já fica perfeito, tranquilo. Então a gente vai falar o John Godleski, eles estão numa sala que vocês vão conhecer lá, que é o segundo, né? Eles estão na sala de segundo andar da Harvard School of Public Health. Esse ano chama Harvard T.A. Chan, mudou o nome da School of Public Health. Vocês vão sentir por quê? Mudou por causa de um chinês que tem uma família, ele tem uma fundação, estudou na Harvard School of Public Health. Aí ele fez uma doação que foi uma doação histórica. Ele doou 350 milhões de dólares para Harvard. E aí ele mudou o nome. Já está funcionando? Quer começar falando? Não? Tá. Hello, John. Good evening, everybody. Oh, so the sound is... Can you hear us? We need just to adjust the audio here in São Paulo. We're adjusting it here. Let's test it again. Hello, Patrice. Yeah, it's a little bit low, but Let's try again. Yeah, we're.
We can
It's getting better. Okay.
Okay. We're fine. How are we doing?
Yeah. So.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. A gente pode abaixar só um pouquinho daqui. O nosso, só, você sabe? Okay. So can you hear us?
We can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a little low, but let's try it again. Esse é o melhor que a gente consegue fazer? Tá, ok. Então a gente vai ter que fazer silêncio aí, que vocês viram que tá meio baixo, né? Okay, so hello everybody. So we have a amphitheater here in São Paulo, which is really packed with people. So we want to hear from you in Boston. It's good to see you there. And so I want to introduce John Godleski. So here we have our group of people. So Patrice, probably she's going. So Patrice, yeah. So she's the person who's helping you there next year a lot. So yeah. So John Godleski, I'm giving him the word. So John Godleski is an associate professor in the Department of Environmental Health and a professor of pathology at Harvard Medical School. So he has two affiliations at USP-Harvard Harvard School of Public Health and also at HMS. But the most important thing for us here in São Paulo, John Godleski is a professor which started our program. So he received a Paulo Saldiva in his lab almost 10 years ago, and then that year after he has received students every year and has increased the opportunities for the other students. So John Godleski is the person there at Harvard School of Public Health who has given us the opportunity. So we're very grateful to John Godleski. So thank you, John, and please welcome John Godleski.
Oh, thank you very much, Lucas. I have a small PowerPoint. Can you see it there? Is it on your screen?
No, it's not. In fact, it's not. So,
How's that? Is that now?
ele está falando que tem PowerPoint. Você consegue ver? No, it's not yet.
A hora que ele mandar vai aparecer aqui.
Yeah. So our technician here is saying that when you send to us, it's going to show on the screen, but we cannot see it yet.
Well, I think if you can see it, it's just words, so it's easy enough to make clear. The other thing is that I hope you can see that we have a number of this year's students with us, and they can wave back to their students. And as we get to questions and answers, I'll be glad to answer. Also, some of the students can answer as well. I just want to give a small talk about research and the way I see research. And I can do this without the PowerPoint if it doesn't come up. Has it come up yet?
No, it hasn't, but let's do it that way. You say things and it works.
Just go on. And when we think about what research is really the process of discovery that follows from ideas. And when we think about this, there are a number of principles of research that we have to follow. And the first is, of course, to gain knowledge and have ideas. And so the knowledge that we have comes from what other people have done in a particular area, reading, and the knowledge that you gain in medical school. Once we have this background of knowledge, the most important thing is to have a hypothesis, and the hypothesis is a prediction of what will be found by the research. Then we think about methods, and you have to learn some methods very often, and the methods are really what you do to test the hypothesis. And the methods and your hypothesis, and you do the experiments, and that results in data. And the data is what you are looking to achieve. And finally, you analyze that data in a way that you're working with the data to include statistical evaluation. Now, as part of this program, you can kind of either do this whole process from one end to the other, or you can come in at the various stages, such as maybe somebody else has collected the data, and your job is to analyze it and work through it. You have to work back and think through the hypothesis and understand what was done in the methods, but then you take it a step farther in the analysis of the data. There are all sorts of possibilities of the way this program could work. And regardless of what step you're working at, and as you go through it, the final step is the interpretation of the data and the conclusions that you can draw from it. Now, I'd like to give you kind of a personal view of my career in research. Now, I graduated from medical school 46 years ago, which seems like a long time, but yet it also seems like just yesterday. When I was in medical school, I was fortunate enough to do research with one mentor throughout my 4 years of medical school, so that I worked in one person's lab while I did all my courses in medical school. What that work resulted in was 2 first author papers from my medical school research and 1 co-authored paper. So the completion of the process had gone forward in a number of instances in my career. The subjects of my 3 papers are still very important topics in medicine today, and that's the point that I want to make to you and try and make it very clearly. The topics of my student research included the genetics of cancer, transmission of infection, inflammation in cancer. And these remain very important topics of research, even 46 years later. If you think about it, these are all leading areas of scientific interest in medicine. So that what messages I want you to take away from my experience is that the principles of research are timeless. Solving disease really takes a long time, and what you are doing as you do research, you're adding knowledge to a body of knowledge, and this knowledge, all of this knowledge comes together to become major advances in medicine, so that even though you may be contributing what you see as a small part, this becomes part of a much bigger picture. So careful, well-done research is publishable, and by publishing it, you make it known forevermore. So you could go back and look up in PubMed the papers that I published in the 1960s and 70s that were this research. So knowing how to do something is really the first step. Doing it well because of practice and repetition is the second step. And I have a little sign in my office that no job is finished until the paperwork is done. And this is the important thing to remember, that you have to report this information. So let me just say a few things about what the program is and what it's not. Now, regardless of which lab you're in, you'll get hands-on experience and learn the principles of research. You are not coming here to sit in a classroom and listen to lectures. You'll learn a number of specific methods, and what we will try to teach you to be is a lifelong learner. In whatever form of medicine you choose for a career, we will try and give you the principles to continuously learn and advance within your specialty. The topics we study in the laboratory here at Harvard School of Public Health all have important implications for mankind, and for the most part, especially the people of Brazil. We study air pollution, we study infections, we study a number of areas that are all very important. And as you come here and become involved in this, I think you will see and appreciate the importance of this. You'll see a lot of this in the studies by the students who have been here and are back in Sao Paulo as alumni. So this is what I wanted to tell you as you think about, and as we go forward, I hope that I've interested you in research. I hope I've given you some ideas of the kinds of things that we'll be doing here. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have, and I look forward to seeing you in June. Toward the end of June, a number of us will be coming to Sao Paulo to interview you and get a chance to know you and be involved in the selection of who will come in this program next year.
So thank you, John, for talking. We have questions and answers right now. So I just want to point that, so Miguel Cerugi is here. So Miguel Cerugi is the Chief Professor of Urology here at the University of São Paulo. He's a lifelong supporter of our program. So thank you, Cerugi, for having your time for us here. And would like to take questions from anyone as well. So I have a question. So we are having questions right now. So if you have your questions, right now is the time. You can ask in Portuguese or in English. So, John, so one thing that we say to the students is that we want to get from these students who are here the best students. We want to have the best students with us. We have a blind selection process. We want to make this process transparent each year, a more transparent selection process. This is why we have Afonso and Hugo working with us and all our alumni that we've created. And we want we always say to the students that in the end, you, the professors at Harvard, you come here and you select the students. So we from the alumni, we help with information. We get information from you, we work with this information in a blind way, and then we give this information prepared to the professors to come here and use this information. So, John, I just want to ask you, so how you see this process, and what do you give more importance for these students? So what are your tips for these students? Thank you.
Well, I think it's important that the students are able to communicate why they want to do this program, communicate what experiences they've had. If they've done some research, if they've had the opportunity to do some research, they ought to be able to think in terms of the way I outlined research, in terms of a hypothesis and what methods are used. So it's very likely that if you have had the opportunity to do research, I'm going to ask you what the hypothesis was that you were testing in your research. And so you should be able to tell me this. If you can't tell me this, then this interview and this selection process is not going to go well for you. If you, somebody might ask you, what methods are you using? And also, how are you analyzing your data? So these are some questions that might be asked in relationship to the research that you're doing. The other thing we'll consider and look at is what you're going to be here in a position where you have to take initiative, where you're going to be on your own, and so we might ask you what leadership positions have you had? What have you done beyond just going to classes in medical school? So these are some of the kinds of questions that we would be asking you in your interview. And you'll have a chance to talk with 3 different professors that will come this year. These are all heads of laboratories, so that as you talk with them, you'll get a chance to, you'll get 3 chances to make a good impression. And you'll see that although the questions might come phrased a little differently, most of us will be asking you the kind of basic things that I've just mentioned, and it's a matter of giving us some idea how you think about problems, how you approach issues, and also how your ability is to communicate in English, because not many people here speak Portuguese, so you're going to really have to have fairly good English in order to be successful. Not perfect English we're not looking for, but we don't want you to be a danger to yourself or somebody else in the laboratory. By not understanding or not, there are enough things to cover in the laboratory in relationship to safety and other things that we don't want there to be a language barrier as well. So these are some of the things that we'll be looking for in the final selection process. The other thing is that we will read all of your applications very carefully, so that as you fill out the application, make an effort to tell us about yourself. We'll be looking at the thoughts of the alumni, but as Lucas said, we will make the final selection, and it will be based on our reading of your application as well as the results of the interview. Now, 2 years ago, when we did the interview, I know the alumni all know my wife very well, and when we had the interviews 2 years ago, we set them up so that each student had as their first interview about 10 minutes with Mrs. Godleski. And she, I think, put some people at great ease, because she told me there were people that were just incredibly nervous when they met her, and they were almost shaking. They were so nervous. And when they got to the professors, they were incredibly impressive to us. So I think my wife can be some magic for you. And the good news is that she will come this year, and she will also do her short interviews first before you meet with any of the professors. So you will have that benefit, and I think you can talk with some of the alumni who have had the benefit of meeting and knowing my wife, and they will assure you that this is going to be a good experience.
So thank you, John. So Suruji, do you have any questions? And all the students, do you have any questions? So someone from USP-Harvard 2015 who are there, do you want to say something for the prospective students these years? Please feel free to do so. Can you hear me? Yeah?
You you can say it in Portuguese too.
Yeah.
I think we're all open for questions if you have any of the students that interested. But yeah.
Okay, so we are having now the next talk here in São Paulo. So Joe and USP-Harvard, I'd like to thank you. So please, let's thank them out there. So thank you for having your time, John, with us now, and you, the students. So we are looking forward to welcome you in June with the students for the selection process.
Very good. We'll see you then.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.